Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while. Today I'm going to be doing a review slash interpretation of Dracula, A Love Tale, which came out today, and I just came back from the cinema and watched it. So let's discuss the film. Okay, this film, A Dracula Love Tale, is directed by a French director. It is sort of based on the previous Dracula version that came out with Winona Ryder, with Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder. So that is kind of where the interpretation is coming from in terms of the romance aspect, because if you've got guys have actually read Dracula, you know the book is not romantic. It's written in epistolary form, and yeah, it's just a story about Dracula. There's no romance in it. So it's a romantic interpretation based on that film. So that's where the director is actually coming from. The male lead is played by Caleb Landry, and he plays Dracula. And the female lead is played by Zoe Blue. She plays Mina. She plays Elizabetha. So my interpretation of the film, I'm just going to say it first of all, isn't necessarily going to be about like the love story or the romance. I'm looking at it from a Christian perspective. Mainly because there are a lot of Christian symbolisms in the film. And when I watched it, when I finished it, I got from it kind of like the love of God can carry anything and overcome any kind of sin. That's personally what I got when I watched the film. So we begin the film, and Elizabetha and Count Dracula are going at it right in front of his men, his soldiers. They're about to go to war with the Turks, and he says goodbye to his wife Elizabetha, and he goes to fight the war. For some reason, she gets dressed up and decides to leave the house while he's out fighting this war, and she meets Turks on the way and gets stabbed. She gets stabbed in her belly. Dracula wins the battle, and he leaves and finds Elizabetha dead. She dies in his arms. He kills the Turks that kill her. He then goes to the priest and tells the priest, "Bring my wife back." The priest said, "Your wife has died. There's nothing that I can do." And then he forsakes God at the altar, and that's how he becomes a vampire. So for 400 years, he tries to kill himself. He tries to find Elizabetha. He's just really struggling with the loss of his wife, and he wants her back real bad. He's also trying to die because he doesn't want to be immortal if he can't be reunited with his wife. So after 400 years go by, and he's been looking for so long, he finally finds her again, and her name is Mina, and she's engaged to a lawyer that has come to visit him previously, that he traps because he's like, "Oh, you're with my Mina? Okay." Then he goes to find Mina. He seduces her with a perfume that he created to compel people. And he tells her that "you're my lover, I love you, yada yada yada." She gets compelled by him and is convinced that like they're in love. There's a connection there. She believes there's a connection there. So she asks him to turn her into a vampire, and he does. There are priests that know that he's Dracula, that he's a vampire, and they want him dead because he's been turning people into vampires and causing a lot of havoc. So they chase after him and Mina, and they find them, and then they tell him and Mina, like, "Hey, like, you gotta die." Dracula is told that if you don't die, Mina won't live a good life. She won't be reunited with God. She won't be able to die and go to heaven. You need to die. So to save Mina's soul, he decides to die. Mina's crying her eyes out as he's dying. He's like, "I did it for you." Now, personally speaking, because the reason why he becomes a vampire is because of forsaking God. The idea that he dies to save her soul, and then is able to actually be reunited with God, makes sense to me, personally speaking. And I think as well that eventually Mina will die and be reunited with him in heaven anyway. She can live a simple life, marry the lawyer if she's able to, psychologically at least, and be reunited with him. And things could have been different had he just let himself die with her, I guess, instead of like in the very beginning when she died instead of being like, oh, let me be a vampire. Not that he knew he was going to be a vampire, but it would have been different. But I guess the whole point of the story, the whole point of him being a vampire, is saving his lover's soul, which is the highest aspect of true love that he can do. And it's apparently more romantic for him to, well, I guess it is more romantic for him to wait 400 years for her than to just die because she died and reunited in heaven, because then you don't even have a story, do you? So I guess what makes it romantic is the 400-year wait and then the dying to save her soul at the end, right? You could say that it's not necessary, but for the sake of romance, we need that aspect to it. Now, when it comes to the Christian symbols in the film, it's a lot of like, it's dark stuff. Like, he's cursing nuns, he's doing stuff like that because he's angry at God for letting his wife die while he was off to fight Turks in the name of God. That's really what got him pissed. And if you want to think about it, like, the main reason why he doesn't die when she dies is because he's like, why would I reunite with God and do all those things when he killed my wife? Also, to be honest, him committing suicide after the battle would have, like, he wouldn't, based on the Catholic tradition, he would not have gone to heaven anyway. So essentially, it wasn't his best case to do what he did so that he would eventually be with God, because if he just died naturally like that, he'd be so depressed, it would get to a point where he'd feel like forsaking God anyway. So it kind of, within that tradition, like, it kind of does make sense within the context, because he's like, I fought for God, I've loved God, he took my wife away. So he forsakes him, right? Because it's easier to do that than just mope around, wait to die. You're pissed at God and then you die and you're like, yeah, no, I still love him in spite of that. No, like, it makes sense why he would turn to a vampire, why that would happen, why the wait would happen, why God wouldn't let him die as a vampire, because he's now like a cursed being. And then at the end, when he finally is like repenting because he wants Mina's soul to be saved, he's finally able to die. And I think because of all of that, I see it as God forgave him, God redeemed him. God said, in spite of the fact that you've been away from me for more than 400 years, I've still chosen to forgive you, allow you to reunite with me, and eventually reunited with your wife in the afterlife as well. Definitely beautiful. I really wish the Caribbean Blues song by Enya was actually in the film, because that edit is the whole reason why I went to go watch this film in the first place. Like, been waiting for months. That edit, whoever made that edit, chef's kiss. But I loved the makeup, the costumes, the music. It was beautiful. You don't have the Dracula's bride like you do in the Bram Stoker's Dracula film aspect of it. Mina's friend is turned into a vampire by Dracula, but it's just to help him find Mina, and she does it, and you know, it goes well or whatever, and then she dies. But I think my main thing I want to talk about with the film is them as a couple. Let me know what you thought about the film in the comments below. If you like my channel, please subscribe. If you like this video, please hit the like button below. Thanks so much for listening. Bye bye.